Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episode 10. Yeah, 10. That's it. Scenery was chewed, heroes grew, and just like that, 10 episodes flew. Now, you want to see the report cards? Hey, it is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland and letting the dust settle just a bit on all the recent Trek episodes and headlines, you know. So instead of a hot take or a quick take, you get a second opinion from Dr. Trek. Hey, look, I have been writing, editing, interviewing, cosplaying, hosting, archiving, witnessing, dot connecting, and yes, fanning Star Trek through a lot of years. And I just want to say, Rubincon. How long will that typo for real persist across the decades to drive fans and writers crazy? Oh well. Funny though, I didn't have Dr. D compiling damage on my Academy Titles Namesake bingo card this year, but here it sits. I didn't have a lot on my card at all, really, in fact. Like the setup last week, you know, with the not same named two-part finale intro, 300th night. Look, once again, the story and the feels just flowed as it felt like they should, and always have with Star Trek. Now, look, we can get into some details weeds, and will, of course, but overall, I almost feel guilty for basically saying that felt right and not having a big laundry list. Well, maybe I have a few pairs of socks on my laundry list. But you know what? It's also the finale. It's the end of the rookie season for the faculty and the cadets. And I may spend some time on some long review threads about the whole season. But let's start off with big things, little things. Big thing. Let's talk size and scope and fans' loud, confused assumptions about these awesome star chart porn graphics. Again, now look, everybody, we get the hard material, the hard data comes here. Thank you, Admiral Vance. It's almost like they anticipated it would get some fans in a tizzy. Vance specifies this threat from Braka with the Omega-47 particle mine effect bubbles. 80,000 cubic light years would be destroyed. Okay, now you take a sector, a 20 by 20 light year sector, that's 400 cubic light years, right? So 80,000 cubic light years, 400, that's 200 sectors. Okay, now Vance says 240 inhabited planets, 160 billion dead. It would be worse than the burn. Yes, because the burn was just about people who happened to be associated with ships that were around dilithium, or like the Klingons used dilithium in their reactors. Planet-wide, it was a disaster. Individual planets survive. You had a better chance of surviving. Probably you would. You'd just be stranded if you weren't near a ship. But this is everywhere, everything all at once that Braka is plotting here. But 200 sectors. Look at the chart. That's not too far off from what we're talking about here, right? Now, somebody along the way says the entire quadrant would be affected by the Omega-47 mines. It's hyperbole. Look, as usual, the confusion factor here, this circle of the core of the Federation, it goes over both alpha and beta quadrants. They're both clearly on the map. I mean, this is just like a deja vu mini echo to the old Klingons and Romulans can't be in the beta quadrant because they're alpha quadrant powers. Oh my God, give it up, people. They were always in the beta. We didn't share that with the world on Mike's chart. Alpha quadrant powers, once more, was a slogan, was a phrase that who used? Oh, the Dominion. The founders, the Vorta, and their perspective was the wormhole opening at Bajor in the Alpha Quadrant, so get over it. This is hardly the same scale, but it's the same thing. Now, other people had a problem with the graphic at the end of one, the view screen scene of the actual sphere of things. It might have been a little shortchanged, but did you notice the little cloud at the side of that sphere? That's where they were hiding out. The entire nebula was this big compared to the spot. I know it's stretching credulity, but it's not as crazy bad as you think. They were within a nebula, and you saw the entire dimension of the nebula, this compared to a basketball-sized sphere. So, and you don't know if that sphere was like a ping. It could have been like the Facerius, like the giant glommed-on ping pong balls. It's a original series. Go look it up. We don't know that that was the entire curvature of the entire conglomeration of spheres patterns, right? Holding forth. We kind of saw that, but anyway, those bubbles, if you go back and look at the chart, they seem to scale out at about 15 light years of diameter. Remember, that's the effective blast radius, the damage radius of the omega-47 particle attached to each mine. It looks like it's 1.5 diameters a sector. Okay. Now, it looks like the widest diameter, as we see here on this two-dimensional slice through the average middle of the disk here, you count them. I get 29 of these bubbles, or basically the diameters, the area of blast damage and destruction from each individual omega-47 particle inside its own little mine, like with the timer trigger. So that's 24. It's a flat spheroid, the galaxy is. It's not going to be a complete sphere, probably. We don't even know what the contents of the Federation is within that area, right? Most of all, this is not the entire sprawly Federation of the glory days of Picard and Sisko and Janeway. This is cut down. This is barely recovering fine, but recovering from the Emerald Chain and the post-burn effects. So no, this is not all the sprawly arms, like the arm that extends way over between and above the old Romulan Empire and the Klingons. It's not the one going way down south by the Gorn. It's not all the... It's the core worlds of the Federation. I think it's fairly doable. It might be a stretch, but it's fairly doable. Even the curvature that drove so many people crazy. Everybody, chill. Little thing, and for all you folks wondering, where's Disco? Where's Disco? Where's Discovery? Well, there it sits. And the fact that, sorry, even the vaunted Spore Drive would set off a frequency trigger and set this off. So, yay for Technobabble. Ability at the speed of plot. Oh, big thing, paired with big thing number 1. Braka is just a pirate. He couldn't possibly pull this off and have that kind of armada and have that kind of capacity to sprinkle particles of omega-47 in mines and completely encircle the Federation. Well, he had all the time he wanted to do it, get it done. What do you think he was doing with all those months? What's it been? 2, 3, 4, 5 months since he stole it from the station? But most of all, again, did you see this chart? The Villainy Rawl has a huge space occupied there. That's not pirates with a couple of ships flying around, or even 6 or 8. He's controlling a huge amount of space. It's variously people have pledged to. This has gone way beyond Captain Jack Sparrow days, guys, gals, peeps. Did you hear Ake say, you have just annexed Ukek? Annexed? A planet you're annexing? Do pirates annex? No. It's fine. This is a big thing. His territory, his space, I should say, it's 3D. His space is at least as large as the Emerald Chain. This is further out, and it's probably occupying more space. It's fine. He may look bumbling, but he has obviously an organization behind him. That's what we go with. Little thing, strontium, yes, is an actual chemical element. It's an alkaline earth metal. It's kind of a soft silver whitish metallic element. It's very chemically reactive. It goes dark, a dark oxide layer when exposed to air. Now, the thing I remember the most is I remember hearing strontium-90 as a byproduct of atomic radiation, atomic bombs, right? What's wild was strontium was first used to extract sugar from sugar beets. It's not natively this like meanie here. No, really, really. And then look, at its peak, 75% of strontium use when it was mined was used for old school cathode ray tubes, TV screens, right? They coated it with a mixture of that and barium oxide. It was an X-ray blocker, so the X-rays wouldn't come out of the TV at you. And when CRTs went out of popularity, so, big drop off there. But yeah, strontium-90, it was a synthetic and radioactive isotope. That's the most dangerous part of nuclear fallout. So yay, Braka homeworld, little thing. And I'm just going to jump in with this right here. I'm talking about Captain Ake's maddeningly obscure code talking, just like in Vitus Reflux. Sure, on the other end, it makes all the sense in the world, but in the moment, well, Good for the Doctor. When she says to him as she's leaving with Braka, leap clear! That is all that is corporeal, and make yourself greater. Huh? Okay, you knew it was code. He knows it immediately as a training program Hermes 19. She's pulling it from the quote, leap clear of all that is corporeal, and make yourself grown to a like expanse, with that greatness which is beyond all measure. That's Hermetica, ancient Greek, Hermes Trismegistus, if I'm saying it right. Well, he got it. Damn it. Okay, I guess she's better than I give credit for. Training Mission Hermes 19. Hermes was the herald of the gods, widely considered the protector of human heralds, travelers, thieves, merchants, and creators. Yeah, he can move quickly and freely between the worlds of the mortal and the divine by his winged sandals. And yes, when the Greeks became Roman gods, there's Mercury. Little thing. It's a touch of 32nd century. It's cool to see the Doctor's ancient hollow emitter again. Equally, almost as cool to see it just be absorbed in the programmable matter and his entire program. The interface, done and dusted. Again, we get these scraps of reminders that we're in the 32nd century. Could sure use a lot more. Oh, and while gluons are real, Rubin particles are not. And I looked, there's no one on cast or crew apparently named Rubin, so I'm going to guess that that's an homage to Vera C. Rubin, the woman who's credited with discovering and proving the existence of dark matter in the galaxy, even though, in the day, she was just a woman. So, here she is, a pioneer on two fronts, right? And if I'm wrong on this homage, I'll correct it next time. One more little thing. You know, for all his faults, Noose Braka sure seems to be part of this big millennium nostalgia wave, this retro language wave that everybody seems to be part of, right? Did you hear him? Sing the Pledge of Allegiance. The revolution will be televised. Come on down. I mean, national anthems, etc., etc., etc. That Strontium planet may not have been so isolated as we thought. Little thing, again, or maybe this is big. I don't know. Did you notice the VNN headlines? How could you not, right? Terrorist or freedom fighter, learn the true Noose Braka story. But wait, more news crawls. Federation oppressors mass their tyrannical fleet near our borders at Beta Z. Will they seal their own cage? Cage? I thought it was cool, though, on these news crawls. If you watched, one talks about happening before 9 p.m. Universal Time. So I guess they're using Earth-based chronometers, and this trial of Braka's is happening late afternoon, early evening. Oh, here's one. Aldebaran and Halka join Villainy Rawl. Are they near? Actually, yes, they are. Aldebaran, real star. Halka, as in the Hawkins, the people that the original Mirror, Terran Empire, Kirk and Spock were terrorizing, where the Ion Storm, all of that. That was Halka. And Halka and Aldebaran are in the southern edge of the area that the Villainy Rawl are going to expand into. So they're right there on the doorstep. So, yeah, don't blame them. And another, New Kronos signals willingness to discuss non-aggression pact with VRFS. So look, Fawn Alpha has already been renamed. We're calling the new Klingon planet New Kronos already. The Villainy Rawl apparently have a really good social media team. They're already so good at skewing and spinning and altering the headlines. But I'm gonna give them the benefit out. I think New Kronos is our going forward name for Fawn Alpha now in the new Klingon homeworld. And yet I still have questions. Chirima's neural inhibitor, number 2, does it really just attach on the surface? Last time we checked, it had this horrible, grody, gross-looking long wire that was obviously subdermal inside her. This one, she just kind of pops off. No implant wire. And this moment, when the Villainy Rawl ships thought they destroyed the saucer, it blows and they turn away, but they're so close. There's no shockwave from the destruction. There's no debris impacts. Nothing. Was that supposed to be a clue? All right, favorite lines. And you know, I go for the funny, I go for the quip so often, and that's usually what tickles me. But this episode, and it's a finale, and we're ending a season, and there's a couple of lines here that seem like they speak to our time so much, if you know what I mean. As Nala herself says, there is so much anger in the universe, so much atrocity. All of this started when some guy said what Nuss is saying right now. It's us or them. Your hate will set you free. It's up to you to pick what person from history, past or present, that she's referring to there. Oh, and even simpler, this back and forth between Braka and Ake. Lies and propaganda. No, it's science. And how is our dramatis personae handling it in this, our finale of season 1? Well, extras watch. I loved picking out the visitors to Braka's little show trial. Did you notice? At most, I was just curious to see how many extras they might have hired for this. It has a lot of throwback vibe to me to the But to Connect assembly of delegates back on Discovery when they were voting on the CMA approach, right? The resolution. And most, there's several angles, several views here. I think I got about 24 audience visitors. There might have been some CGI duplicating and all that, but it looks like there's about 24 from the different angles. Yeah. And of course, that may even be more if they're live than there were at the DMA conference, because that was all replicated up and down the line. But there were some interesting folks there present. Did you notice this? The guy, the alien I call Chimera Head, that's so elaborate. There's a representative here from these independent species, and they could be. But there is at least one cadet in the War College and in the Academy. So, independent, I wrote a letter of recommendation. It's cool, too. There's also a Schlurm. We don't talk much about them, but they have been identified, had a name ever since basically that time, same time in Discovery. And yes, they're on the star map. They're even way over past, almost behind the Tholians. And then the guy I keep calling Skullface, there's several cadets. And he's a visitor here, too, from a non-aligned world. Curious. And what is this? Looks like a giant topless mannequin with just a torso and legs that are bent over. Do you see? I mean, but beyond our visitors, this episode, the finale, surprisingly, there's no Kelrick. We've got Vance and Laura here just with a single shared holo scene to spout some story exposition at the beginning there, just those factoids. Again, thank you for calming down. The Federation is too big to be surrounded by a pirate tsunami. And then Laura gets a nice little hand-holding scene with Reno at the happy ending, at the all is well time, sure. But Vance, yeah, he got a headline too. Did you notice at the VRR? Tyrant-in-Chief Vance threatens military junta if Federation President Rillick fails to approve his naval aggression. Spin, spin, spin. Who knew by the end of the season that Reno would come on strong? She's getting all these scenes. Reno in command, buddy. And even when she's in command, in a crisis, she finds a way to make it in teaching mode. Assignments. That's the way we're going to mask. That's the way we're going to portray this existential crisis. And what does she say? Hey, we learn more when things go wrong than when they go right. Who would have thought sarcastic Queen Jet Reno would be doing? Well, this is still the Jet Reno who apparently totaled the first 3 shuttles she ever flew in the 2240s, the 2250s. Remember, we're back then. Now, Durham just can't follow an order, can he? Apparently. I mean, I know he's down, but does he have to spike his speed above orders? Well, he learns. But hey, did I miss where he was trending toward being a pilot, not a captain? I know they're all talking like he's been on this course. Do they really have to write him as a hot-headed flyboy? Is that where we're going with him? Look, but good on him for picking Baythair 5, that gas giant, out as a hiding spot before they pinpointed where Braka took the Athena for his stunt court and invited all those non-aligned representatives. Baythair 5, which happens to be in the same system where Braka went with its 170 moons to have to look among. Hey, forget about his piloting. That exoplanetology hunt was pretty sweet for him. And did I miss the Sam Genesis closeness? Well, on second thought, I guess I did. I mean, I can look back now and see it, but it never seemed to be a big deal until now. even through her defragging and her issues and patching, Sam's, I mean. Though I guess I can remember they shared some stairwell moments and some elevator moments. It was just never hammered home as a thing, as a story crux, if you will. But yes, Tamza, this language bit that they're suddenly retreating to again, that's the epitome of this. It was a big deal in the pilot. I'd totally forgotten about it. Has it ever figured in anything since then until now? It's not the same as the Reno Caleb moment in class that first day that Reno, points to. Now that stuck out. But good on Sam. Good on Sam. She has a moment here, and she's in her element doing the thing as they're all solving the problem in their own way. And again, with the doctor, his original holometer, it had to make everybody smile. It's almost 1,000 years old. What also makes me smile is, well, no, not his calamity, but the fact that Starfleet still uses level 10 diagnostics as the scale. I guess, the more science the 32nd century changes, the more they stay the same. I'd still like more change, though. Yeah, Genesis has her moment with Sam. She gets a captain moment. And that's about it here. And Jaden gets even less, which includes 0 Kyle. And Terima, my God, when they went back to the flower scene, to her place of peace and serenity, I thought, oh no, are they going to ask her to sacrifice herself for another mind blast here and locate Anisha? She's going to risk herself despite her frailty, her even more desperate state, right? To use her uber power. But no, they didn't go that way. And the moment played out fairly sweet, as she too did her part in the big picture of the problem solved. Now, Caleb at the end of the story logs himself in as a newly upscale cadet, 2nd class. But hey, in the past, at our current academies and what we saw in the 21st century, that means that's a 3rd-year junior. Because 1st class are seniors, 2nd class are junior. 4th class cadet is a freshman. It's not like the more pips. The more numbers, the higher in class rank you are. Yeah. So either he was advanced an extra year, or the numbering system has been changed so that 1st class are freshmen, not seniors about to graduate, right? And then think of this. He logs in for the first time. We hear it. Stardate 869631.7. Okay, 869 are the 3 digits. We're in the 1,000-date unit stardate years, right? So 631.7, that amounts to August 19th of that stardate year. And we're in 3194. So it's been 16 years since he was 6. And he's 22 now. So maybe he took a little summer school and some advanced placement classes, and he got all the way to be a junior in one fell swoop. He is older than the rest of most of the cadets, I think. Oh, wait. He says summer's almost here. Okay. This is what I get for going into the number weeds. Time for the retcon core again. I do like he and Terima's mutual counseling regarding what is mutually dragging each one down or holding them back, right? Find the false choices and ignore them. Just do both, do it all, as one answer. And then as Reno says, as circumstances have played out, not Ake, his mentor, but Reno. She says the choice between his mother or Starfleet has to be his primarily, but why make it a choice? Again, the false choice. And as she points out, as he's beating himself up, he went back to his gang on Urkek, right? He says, oh, anybody would have done that. And she says, no, I've lived in 2 very different centuries. Very few people would have turned around and helped their friends. Again, Jet Reno's, where did she come from? Now, this brings us down to Anisha. Tachon Maslany is such a fan favorite. And she has a huge task here as an actress in these 3 episodes. The first time, just being a prologue, right? A setup sequence. It's powerful, but it's not very long. And now you've got this 2-episode payoff and the final duel at the other end of the season. She is fine, but I saw some fan backlash once again. She's 40, the actress is, and real-world Sandro Rosta playing Caleb is 26, though he's playing 21. I've saw complaints that she was too close in real world age to play mother and son, and that they should have cast a younger mother for the setup or whatever. Now, look, I never thought about it. Did you? I thought she pulled it off. And if there's an issue, that's what makeup and prosthetics are for. Why deprive the actress of getting to bookend the relationship in real time? Yeah. No, not be a mother at 14, his actual age, Sandro's actual age, but Caleb's, yeah, she could have been 19. But in the real world sense of actors playing roles, I never got a sense of awkwardness. But even more so, Anisha is the crux of this whole episode. I mean, apart from the cadets problem solving on the Athena saucer, right, with the ticking clock there, the crux of the emotional drama, will she or won't she, is the drama in those amazing eyes of Tatiana, and they keep going for it. I mean Anisha's eyes. Look, you're wondering, is she really setting up to go with Braka? Is she getting her therapy out in public before going? Or is she going to do the right thing while she vents her spleen, she excises her demons and her hate and her anger at everybody from Nala on down? No, is all of her demonstrating, is it an act to fool Braka? Or, yeah, is it just therapy to begin with? Right. Especially that final stare right before one blackout. And then Nala is giving it right back to her, silently. No words. As they are checking out eye to eye, are they feeling each other out for what's going to happen? Or is mom's not stupid? Caleb separately is being told, why not do both? I think Anisha's doing both. I think she's getting all that out of her system finally, but she's got no intention, she's not a moron, of winding up entwined with Braka again. She knows what side her bread is buttered now that she's got bread and butter. Yeah. Meanwhile, talk about regression and the nostalgia wave. Anisha still talks in terms of matches and tinderboxes. Maybe in her case, it's just severe post-burn survival. Or 14 years of prison life? Primitive, I mean. Now, Paul Giamatti. So much fanfare being in the season. Nus Braka was only in 3 episodes. So I guess that's modern speak for season 1's villain. But I feel like this appearance, these scenes, if this is possible for a Klinger, right, that they were the most humanizing of his 3 episodes. We got the most backstory. Now, it's skewed, it's twisted, and he winds up being the poster boy for why counseling for kids, mental health counseling, is an investment. Yes, he had a stunted childhood. Stop me if you've heard this before. And now the earth is full of stunted kids whose vengeance and insecurities that we all wind up paying for in the end. I mean, he doesn't know where he was born. He played tic-tac-toe in the dirt. Aha, explains that hairpiece. But most of all, Nus equates himself with his pain. He takes his pain, his story, his grievances, and his arrogance and projects that to all people. He's the speaker for all the people. They're around him. He's gathered them up. The people. No, it's just him. And he's trying to include Anisha too there. Which sets up Nala to point out, yeah, he's wrong. You have all these witnesses to hear my logic. And what we've got here is we finally get the facts out in the open and we can see you're just seeing everything through the eyes of a little kid. In other words, this life that you've set yourself upon is one ongoing years-long tantrum. You think this season is speaking to today's world? And in contrast to all that, and as hysterically funny as this is with the criticism that Holly Hunter and that the writers and the whole crew have endured this season, did you watch Nala Ake through this episode? It's a calm, collected, never hysterical, always on the level Captain Ake. Holly Hunter gets there once again. The courtroom scene, those debate podiums, there sure are handy once again. Look, it was chilling to hear her son brought up again. But it's only been the first time since the pilot, despite what Braka is whining about it. And now we hear that it was even more a sacrifice on her part to let him go. And again, to watch her face, as she too perhaps wonders if Anisha is really going to buck up against the crazy guy or go with it. Captain Ake on the level, always. Give her a break. So, a very settled, normal feel to this episode. Normal Trek. I mean, dare I say we may be into a well-oiled machine status here? Well, there's a whole other season to come before any future decision is made about what's happening with Academy. But yes, a well-oiled machine, you would expect to see the five names that we see at the top of the credits this time above the fold. This is a story and teleplay situation. I don't know if everybody wanted to get in on wrapping up the season the right way or what, but we've got credits. We have two story writers, two separate teleplay writers, but they're all the names you've seen. They're all in the same tank. So Noga Landau shares a co-story writing credit here. It's only her second writing credit line of the series now after Beta Test Episode 2. But she's the showrunner. Her hands, her thoughts are on every script and polished draft. She's been a huge Trek fan since she was introduced to TNG by her dad when she was 5. Yeah, we heard her talk before the season here in LA. I got to talk to her a few minutes before we sit down at some point and do a regular sit down. But it was great to hear her. She went from having a crush on Worf when she was that young, and then being inspired by Captain Janeway, of course, on Voyager. She had 15 credits and the story editor position on The Magicians, that series. Then she developed and wrote the latest iteration of Nancy Drew over on the CW. 62 episodes, 4 seasons. A lot of the people working on this series now, Academy, came out of that Nancy Drew mix. And then she got the call to come over. She turned it down at first. She was too paranoid to do it. Finally took the job to showrun Academy and helped put this team together. The story actual writing credit she shares with the show's creator, Gaia Violo, right? Who's a Hollywood veteran, writer, producer, showrunner. She's got sole series creator credit. I mentioned this before. Have you noticed it? That's the only time since Gene himself on TOS and TNG. Of the live actions, I should say. Yes, Mike McMahon on Lower Decks. She's an exec producer, but she's not being the showrunner. That's Nola. And this is her 4th full or part credit script. She did the pilot. She was part of the Klingon opus, right? Vox in Excelso. And then the Our Town Life of the Stars. Now, Teleplay, the script, that from their story developed into script, Alex is actually on a credit here. Now, he's the franchise runner. He's the overall executive producer, top of the plate, since TV Trek was brought back in 2015 to be the flagship for CBS and then Paramount Plus, right? Get them into the streaming era. This is Alex's 12th listed Trek writing credit or co-credit. You know, going back to his partner days with the late Bob Orci on Xena and Alias, and then, of course, the 2 Kelvin movies. Well, Alex had 6 writing credits on Disco and then 1 each on Picard. He had a Short Treks and then Strange New, and now this one. He's also directed the season 2 premiere Brother over on Disco that introduced Pike, kind of a paradigm shift, and then he directed the first 2 this season to kick off Academy, Kids These Days, and Beta Test. Now, co-teleplay with him here, Kirsten Beyer. Again, all these names you know, they're wrapping up the season here. Kirsten, of course, was the Voyager novelist turned screenwriter. She's the only person Brian Fuller first brought to his writer's room who's actually still with Trek. Now, she brings the canon heart in ever-increasing ways. She's a co-creator on Picard, remember? And she's been part of the staffs across all the live action and the audio Trek. Talking about Khan. 19 solo or partial writing credits. 9 of them as co-writer on Khan, all the whole season. And most recently, she did the Sam Sisko episode here and the setup for the finale, 300th Night. So here she is writing part 2 of that, co-writing that too. She's actually serving through the season up to the rank of co-executive producer. And then finally, in our director's chair, here's a name you haven't heard for a while. Yep, Olatunde Osunsanmi. Tunde, as they call him. This is his 18th Modern Trek directing credit, but it's the first on a series since he did his 14 for Discovery. I mean, he had 2 short treks, and of course, Section 31. Now, he was a co-executive producer and executive producer on Discovery, and he supervised other directors as well as did his own shows. And on the second batch of short treks, this debut season of Academy, he's had that same title, and you'll love this. He won an NAACP Image Award for directing a TV movie, documentary, or special. For, yes, Section 31. So we've got no shortage of veterans here through all the modern Treks, much less this season. It's come down to the end to this. And I had to say, I thought the titles, not a standard opening sequence, title sequence, right? That was a nice touch. More movie style, more cinematic. The pilot did the same thing, right? This piece, though, this script, it's pretty simple. It feels more like a series of set pieces. You've got the Athena Bridge, and you've got Braka's kangaroo show trial, and very few other bits in between. Now look, Star Trek has a proud history of trials and courtrooms. No. Not Starfleet by the book. I mean the wacky trials. And of course, what comes to mind for me is the Q trial from the pilot of TNG, right? And we've had court trials, everything from court-martial to ad asper per aspera. This was not Law and Order. This was a monkey trial. This was goofball. And yeah, it was more like Q's post-apocalyptic madness. And the court here still, we had truths on both sides. Nala had to admit some really painful things that were not great. Truths that were not helpful to her case, except the fact that showed that she was able to portray honesty. She was able to stare down her questioner in the face and deliver the truth, as painful as it might be. We get into what is behind the truth of the Omega 47 program. Why was Starfleet doing this? Oh, no, we were developing an energy source, not a weapon. Well, once again, you've got Oppenheimer. You've got Manhattan Project vibes there. So, okay, allegory to history. So, come on, show haters. You may want to attack Starfleet for maybe being a touch hypocritical or naive. But don't jump on the writers. Yes, it was planned. There was a reason. It did make sense. And it's very easy to have, what'd we say, 40 or 50 or 60 particles at that storage facility, at the weapons depot, the experimental weapons development at Starbase J-19 Alpha. But there's another layer here, too. Those back on the ship, the cadets, the bridge there, being able to overhear what our locals are saying and doing in their courtroom there in the atrium, the junked-up atrium. I had a vibe. It was like Spock and company on the bridge in Arena, not Athena, Arena. You know, taking the Metron's live stream of Kirk v. Gorn. It was kind of cool. But this episode had moments, but some special moments. Caleb and Reno's scene, right at the antimatter flow station, coming back to, who are you, as she says, the first day of school. Sam and Genesis, referencing Tamza, again, from the pilot. Totally forgot it. I mean, was there an arc there in between that I missed? And did I miss this underlying tension between Sam, what Sam was feeling between her and Genesis over what she perceived as Genesis's hero complex? Or was this something that grew out of Sam's reboot and her 17-year catch-up, her maturity filter that she could bring to it? Was she kind of jumping on Genesis? I didn't think she deserved it. But most of all, did I miss this, or did it just pop out here? No, I don't know. But these are callbacks that, it's a season finale. There's 2, right? There's more. There's Terima and her space flowers. And the whales. What I gotta say, Krebs and his Talaxian fur fly, they're a total no-show. What a letdown. On second thought, maybe that's a good thing. I gotta ask again, did fanboy Stephen Colbert write his own stuff? And meanwhile, back on the bridge, all the problem solving, all the conferring, all the working together much better than you did in the tactical sim. They come to it as a tactical sim, but it winds up flowing like a game. I mean, is that the point? Is that what they're writing? Are we writing for a Gen Z alpha demo for the show and having it feel that way? Or are they the same? Is that a positive, or, as we see today, is that a negative, to view real life as just like a video game lens? Well, that might be a good theme for next season. No, wait, it's already done. All written. Oh, well. And yet, at one point, I realized what made me smile the most about this episode. Ake dunking on Braga's whiny tiny violin story of growing up. She called out Starfleet phaser color. It's got to be blue or green, but not red. And that was her Perry Mason moment of debunking his testimony. Are you kidding me? Actual colors of phaser fire? Blue or green? I'm dying. Do you know I have been writing the colors of beams down since I marked up my Bijo concordance? Whoa. Since the 70s? Took notes on everything. Rank braid, uniform colors. And here I find out Captain Ake is a phaser color nerd too. It's in dialogue. And hey, how about those novelty end credits? Kind of echoes the same cinematic movie vibe feel that the opening did, only more so. Now, look, obviously, they're not all literally the class of 3196. It's mostly for fun, but hey, here we finally not only get Britt Marling and Colbert in the spotlight for once, and I think this is the first time all season I've even mentioned Britt Marling as the Athena computer voice, so yay. But we actually, from all those jokey, fun little bits and pieces, we learned that Vance was in the Nova Squadron. So that's it. That's a season. And I gotta say, once again, this has been a much better series than I was afraid of when it first came to cadets and pranks. And in hindsight, I'm saying only episode 3, Vitus Reflux, stooped to that so much, and the Caliga tournament and all that. And what is the strategy of Caliga except for chaos? No, it's not as much as I'd feared. And apart from that, episode 7 is the only other disappointment episode of the season for me. We got a visit home for one of the new alien species, right? That didn't really reveal that much to us. I mean, amok time it was not. There was a huge scene cut that was part of the reason there. Otherwise, the ballyhooed episode 5, right? The expected Cisco surprise Dax series acquisition male focus episode. It was fun. But I was surprised more by Jaden's root story, Vox and Excelsis, before that. And then the theater therapy with The Life of the Stars. And then that slam bam stakes in Come Let's Away. So I rewatched the first 5 episodes or so just in the last few days. And it feels like, in hindsight, a meta-level evolution going on. We're watching the cadets, fictionally, dramatically, go from green, or dour, or prototypical, to the seasoned young officers they become. Young officers, but still, by season's end. They've been tested all year in many crises. Crises of spirit, crises of emo, or even real life. As well as, though, the series writing and production vibe itself. The show itself growing up. As all new series do in season 1, hopefully. Even down to the point of the younger actors, our cadets especially, dealing with their home accents, their Trek accents, their prosthetics, their attitudes, their takes, their banter as characters, and just being heard and misunderstood, or not being misunderstood. You can see the production gelling through those first 2, 3, 4 episodes. I do miss some of the early blasts, though. For one thing, we got introduced to an entire bridge crew with names and species, and we only saw them in 2 episodes. The second one was way too brief. They had a big splash in the pilot, but then, what about all the other cadets, too? Especially the ones with actual lines. Did Holloway ever get to play with any more living gel? Or even get eye implants to do away with his eyeglasses? Did Pickford ever swallow any more uniform accessories? And did Ensign Levy's descendant, whatever his name was, did he ever get the crap knocked out of him for his wacky conspiracies? You know what? We didn't even get, in these last couple of episodes, we didn't even get Occam, much less Kyle. Much less Kyle's surviving War College classmate, remember? The scary prank hawk, Zolo. We didn't even get a final look at Kelrick. Now, we have seen Rule in the Season 2 Wrap Party pics. So apparently Kelrick is still around. And you know, even visually. Because if the hero ship of every Star Trek series is still considered a character as well, the same as it's been ever since the good old 1701 with James T. Kirk in 1966, fans always think of the hero ships, the hero stations, as a character. And if that is so here in this first season of this new series, even the Athena and the other hero ships we've seen are this time in the modern era being shown in light with contrast and not murkied to death just to reflect modern sci-fi drama lighting sensibilities. Because that is 180 degrees different. It's totally counter to Star Trek traditional ship porn beauty lighting. Just like the interiors. And if doing it this way is a radical departure from gritty dark realism of the modern world and modern television most of the time, yeah, as in when your atrium isn't commandeered by a spoiled brat pirate president, and it's just reflecting, maybe the normal lighting is just reflecting a stereotypical brightness of youth and optimism. Hey, I'm all for bucking the world trend, just to get back to Trek's trend. But I think most of all, this closing pair of shows to end the season, they are indeed old school galactic high stakes. And as I said, a lot of fans are incredulous that Braka commands this much power as a pirate. Well, maybe it's time to put some context to your headcanon of piracy and think more along the lines of, oh, I don't know, oligarchy? Organized crime buddies? Yeah, they've been running countries large and small and thinly disguised legit businessmen and politicians for decades. Hey, there's no need to be different here. And yet, maybe that is a plot point, that is a plot driver. Hey, it isn't as big as Borg invasions and Klingon civil wars and time-altering temporal incursions. Yeah, like old school and truly galaxy-spanning Trek dramas of yore. Now look, in this season, by not being so overarching, other stories and other events could punch through, actually get on screen, and be seen. And yes, we are really far from the heavy-handed, all-or-nothing 10-chapter books of Disco and Picard days. It is a much lighter tone. And you expect after Strange New Worlds to have different tones and different plot events popping up, and we had that. No, not jarringly, but just a realistic flow. Look, Braka was only part of 3 episodes, and he was mostly absent as a factor in the other 7. Barely mentioned, and I'm fine with that. And yet, you know what? I feel like Darum and even Genesis. I feel like they were only in 3 or 4 episodes. So I finally hope we get to dive in with their cultures and their backstories. For real this time, in Darum's case, in season 2. And, you know, will the Academy Calica team ever play off campus? Or even the Parisi Squares team play anywhere? Now, Alex Kurtzman said recently that Braka will not be part of season 2. But maybe season 3, if there is one. So I hope that not-so-closet Trekkie Paul Giamatti got his fill, finally, of playing his Klingon, or Klingerite. Not sure about season 2 and Anisha and Tachon Maslany. But, you know, a cadet mother, that feels like a stronger link for a return look than a wackadoo tantrum Tellarite. And as for what's to come overall in season 2, or even season 3, or the future of all Trek, much less how this series settles in with fans and critics as the months and the years go by, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how fast the leaks seep out since season 2 is all done. It's sitting there so tempting to be talked about. I do just hope, going into season 2, on Academy, above all, that showing and involving what makes the 32nd century, that setting, so exciting as a choice for stories. You know, much less just what's different from there in our good old Picard, Sisko, Janeway era 800 years before. Can we just please have some more differentiation in ways that enter into the stories that actually make a difference? That make a bigger impact than programmable protomatter? I mean, really, if there's been a disappointment this season, it's been that for me. So now it's back to the safe and supposedly, hopefully more sober 23rd century of the 2260s, sometime this summer for season 5 of Strange New Worlds, where I hope this season there'll be a little less baseball taking a big swing, or 6, and just knock in some steady runs, guys. Base by base. Baseball metaphors from me? Well, that's the impact of the Sisko surprise season for you. We're out of here. Oh, one more thing. Show me pretty streaks of light. That's Reno's warp command? The captain we never knew we already have. Well, she's ready for her close-up series lead. I know. Get in line. Well, with that, I am signing off on this second opinion. But what do you think? Episode 10 on its own, the season as a whole, Starfleet Academy Season 1. Hey, drop your comments below. And please like and subscribe. Would you please boost the signal? I dare you to subscribe for some Star Trek sanity. And most of all, if you crave more Dr. Trek and our Trekland point of view, well, I invite you, check out every Trek Pod live stream and experience that we offer, like Portal 47, your backstage pass to more in-depth Trek, or the Trekland Treks day tours around Southern California of real Star Trek locations, your own customized away mission, or this year celebrate the 60th with the big multi-day geeknationtours.com that I will be leading the week before Vegas. Yeah. Or, Trekland Tuesdays Live, my live show on Tuesday afternoons. The Trek Files from Roddenberry, our podcast. Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek Watch Prodigy. Be tuned for Season 2 coming. And hey, I have a Cameo store and a TeePublic shop too. Look, it is all there. And we'll be back, if not sooner, for Strange New Worlds Season 5. All of it at LarryNemecek.com. Trek well, everybody.